Hello everyone, Ceri the Crafter here, that's C-E-R-I the Crafter, and I'm here with, I would call it a follow-up video actually, plus a little sort of kind of a craft would be thing as well. Okay, a few months ago I shared with you a charity shop haul, and for those who don't live in Britain, a charity shop can be Goodwill, thrift store. Basically, people donate their items and then you go and purchase them. So about every 6 weeks, I try and do a circuit of my local charity shops. And if I find anything good, if I don't find anything, that's fine. At least I've looked. And this was one of my finds, and it cost me £3. And I was excited because, as you can see, it's quite thick. I wouldn't normally be able to get a bundle of 12 by 12 papers for £3 anyway. So even if I used it just for the papers alone, it was a good buy. So I did say in the video where I shared it that I would always keep you up to date with things that I do them. So my method is when I do these charity haul stuff, I don't put the products that I buy in a cupboard or a drawer or a box. I leave them on the side of my studio so they're in eyesight, so I can think about them. So when I'm looking or doing something else, I catches my eye and I think about it. And I thought, you know what? I have a bit of a problem with the amount of scraps I've got. And this is just one of two drawers. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to do what I've seen others do. And that is, I'm going to use this to create 12 by 12 masterboards. It's spiral bound, so no matter how many papers I put on here, it should expand to accommodate. And it's easier for me to store that than it is for me to store this. It also means that if I get to the point where I need to make more ephemera quickly, the masterboards are already done. So I've already done one because I needed to clear that drawer a bit so I could shut it eventually. So I've done one, which was this one. Okay, so this is the style I like to do. Now, I do tear papers occasionally for things like decorating ephemera, but I quite like, because of my OCD and because of my basically the way my brain is wired, I like to cut things with a guillotine. So over there on the small table is my guillotine, because you don't need to see me cut stuff. Over here is my ceramic tile with a whole load of magazine pages on it that I will use as gluing surfaces. Actually, if I move that in a bit, I'm going to be using a Pritt stick, which is my choice of glue stick. I've stolen this idea from Nicole at Relax Cut Glue, who I think got it from somewhere else. I put a bit of sponge into a glass container, I spritz it with water, so I've got somewhere I can just wipe my fingers if my fingers get sticky, which they do get sticky quite often. I've also got a store card, or actually this was my cruise card for my cabin door. And I'm just going to create a page. Now, this 12 by 12 was 12 by 12s in white, but all the way through it, periodically, there were these pages, which actually were folded, and then they had a pocket here. So I'm guessing, because I've never done scrapbooking, that you're supposed to tear it out and then it gives you a bigger piece for backgrounds and stuff. So all I did is I trimmed it down the edge, which is why it's just fractionally smaller than 12 by 12, and I trimmed it across the bottom, so I ended up with 2 pages instead of that one that was an open top and I didn't know what to do with it. So that was what I created my first one on. So it's got this backing. It could be written on, but I think today we're just going to go to the first white page and work on a white page. Another reason I like these books is I can fold them flat. So this, I would say, is probably a video aimed at those who have never done this before, or maybe beginners looking for ideas, or if you just got me on in the background and you're crafting yourself, then I'm happy to keep you company. But if you're here expecting an all bells and whistles tutorial, it's not. I'm just going to be collaging a masterboard. I'm going to use reasonable size pieces just so it doesn't take a long time. I have pulled out other things like some tissue stuff, washi stuff, bits of ephemera from other kits. I've got numbers and stickers, because my intent is I make the masterboard up. I'm not cutting this one up until I need it. So, okay, so there you go. Anyone who asks me in the comments, no, I will not be making a digital of it, because I do not own copyright of everything I'm putting on this page. So I think without further ado, there's that posh word again, let's get started. So I can see right on the top of this box, there are strips. Now I'm going to pull a few things out that catch my eye. Oh, that's a long piece. That might be going more than one piece. That doesn't appeal to me. Book page. I've got everything in here. This is literally a dumping zone. Oh, that's a bit of washi. I just throw stuff in here, a bit like the rest of you probably do as well. So if I pull some bits out to start with, some of those might be useful. I'm not going with any theme. I'm literally just going to put something together, because when I cut it up, I can then decorate it further. Oh, that's nice, like a little bit of gold in there. Oh, what are those? Didn't even know I had those. There you go. The things that end up in this drawer, I tell you, it's literally the place I just throw things. So I think we'll just, I don't want that on there. Oh, might want that though. I recognise that. Can't recognise whose kits half of these are from. So please don't be asking me what kits they're from, because I don't know. A lot of stuff comes to me in Happy Mail. Some of it comes from me just shopping around. Sometimes when I do collaborations with other companies, they'll send me stuff to use, and then, oh, that's fun. And then I'll just save the surplus, because they obviously don't need it back afterwards. Let's get some music paper. So, right, we will, oh, I think that's Gail Augustinelli's, to be honest. That's one of her digitals. I was looking for a bit more music paper, because I want some more music paper. Right, I think that's enough to start with. As I said, I've got another one over here that's full of plain. The way I sort my stuff out is there's a drawer for patterned and there's a drawer for plain papers. A lot of the time they get mixed up and they cross over into each other, but that's my general sorting system. But it's got to the point where I seriously do need to deal with this. Right, let's push that over to one side so I get myself some breathing room. We will dip into that box periodically. So this is already a straight piece. I'm just going to glue that right down and establish the edge of this. Now, I'm going to struggle slightly, because obviously I'm trying to do a lot of this with an iPad hanging in the air over my 12 by 12 pad or my scrapbook. So please forgive me if occasionally I've got to pull it towards me and actually just line something up. So, but this is sort of a tried and tested way of using up scraps, to be honest. If you're new to junk journaling, this is how a lot of us make the bases for our ephemera. I find it a really useful way to get rid of scraps, and that's purely because the scraps mount up and up and up, and before you know it, you're just buried. That looks like, I thought that was real book page. It's not. I'm just going to cut this in half. Now, what I will do is, as I'm working, every time I nip over there to cut something, if it's more than a really quick cut, I will edit that out of this video, because the point of this video is not that it's a million years long. It's just a craft along with me video, really. I don't really do them that often, except I suppose you could call this a mass make, really, couldn't you? Because it's going to be made into something later on. I like to start with the corners and edges, because if I'm going to get stuck anywhere, it's going to be in the corners and edges. So I tend to grab pieces of paper that are already squared off, just like that one is, and I will use them along the edges, and then the middle of the piece gets dealt with later. I've just dug my glue stick right into the middle of that one, and I've torn it, but that's okay. We're going to be putting more pieces on here. I'll just overlap. I don't overlap that often, because that builds up the surface of the 12 by 12, and that actually makes your eventual piece bulky. I thought that was going to fit there then. What's this piece here? This is that long piece. Oh, interesting. Let's just stick that down. That must, I think that's from a 6 by 6 pad. I can't 100% remember. So hopefully you're all doing okay. We're well into the throes of fall or autumn here in Wales. So much so that it's rained for probably a week continually now. I do have a big craft show coming up at the NEC, which is the National Exhibition Centre in Birmingham here in the UK. I'm going because we're doing a relaunch of a cake decorating book that I wrote some years ago that won an award. And also the company I used to design silicone molds for cake decorating, they want to relaunch some of that collection. So I'm going to be on their stand, and I don't know the stand number yet. The company is called Katie Sue Designs. So I'm going to be on their stand for 2 hours on the Friday of the exhibition, purely because that's the only time I've got free. And I'm just going to be there to meet and greet and say hello and basically see people I haven't seen for a while. I like that bit. Let's stick that down somewhere. Wonder whether it'll... Yeah, I'll put that there. So basically just meet and greet, and it gives a chance for those people who are followers of mine in the cake world to actually just say hello, because I haven't been around in the cake world for a number of years now, purely because of COVID. COVID shut my cake business down. It shut most of the shows down, so of course I haven't really been there. I just need to do some trimming on this one. There you go, that's a nice strip. Now, I'm not worrying whether things are lined up with each other. I can fill in wherever I want. So I don't mind that down there. Or do I want to go across the bottom? Now, I don't actually know which orientation these things are going to go eventually be in. I think I want that along. I'm going to cut this. That's going to make it a little bit easier to make a decision. So yeah, so I'm at that exhibition. I'd like it to stop raining next week because I've got a wedding cake to decorate as a display piece for their stand. And as it's raining, it's going to be quite difficult to get the sugar paste, or Americans know it as fondant, get the coating of the cake to dry. So that's going to be a little bit of a challenge. Should be fun. I mean, when I've done the cake, I will share it on my social media platform, Ceri Griffiths Creative Designs Limited. Ceri Griffiths Creative Designs. I'm not limited anymore. I dropped the limited earlier this year. So it didn't seem worth having a limited company anymore. So I just went, I've changed things. So now I'm just a sole trader, which I'm quite happy about, to be honest with you. Right, have I got anything that will fit that gap? Right, I did keep looking at this, and I do quite like this. And I think you're going to go up there. Now, after I've glued everything on and everything is dry, there is a chance that I'm going to go around the edges with a craft knife, just tidying up the edges if anything is sticking over. And my process for that would be, I would just turn the page over onto a cutting mat and trim around the edges. So just slide that out. Excuse me if my arm is in the way. This is quite thick paper in this. I was quite shocked how thick these pages are when it comes to a scrapbook. But then I suppose because things are going to be stuck to a scrapbook, I know that sounds absolutely stupid thing to say because obviously things are, but I didn't realise it was such heavy paper stock in these things. I mean, that feels about 250 GSM to me, which is what I use for my gel printing. So, right, let's get on. I want to trim this down a bit. I think I want that side. So this is something I would definitely do if I was in the situation of, you know, you have those days when you just don't know what to do, you're not feeling like being creative or something. This is what I would do, is one of these things. I mean, I do umpteen things when I'm, let's call it in the doldrums. When I'm not feeling that creative, there are several things I do to sort of get myself back into the mode of being creative. One of them would be I'd create masterboards. Another thing I would do is I actually would choose a cupboard or a drawer or something in my studio, and I would sort it out, empty it out, tidy it out, because the amount of times I'll find things in there that I actually didn't realise were in there. So, yeah, that's another good trick. Right, I like that. I seem to be very strippy, don't I? I suppose that's not a bad thing. If I put that there, I'm going to have that as a problem. Unless I do something with the problem now. No, let's not put it there. Let's put it up there, because then I can work on that space. Right. So I'm not actually used to speaking when I do this sort of stuff, because, as I said, I usually just do it when I'm on my own. It's not something I normally film. So why is it with me in this glue stick? There must be a sharp piece on my glue stick. I'm going to pop that over there, I think. And this is just to get any air bubbles or any lumps out of anything that's in here. Right, we had this, didn't we? Yes, this is from, what is this from? This is from a drawer liner. We have them here in Britain for putting on the inside of your drawers to make the drawers smell good. I've done that right, that should fit in there. Perfect. So there you go. So yes, so don't always think that masterboards have to be done with craft paper. As you can see, I'm using book paper, book pages. This is a drawer liner. You can do them with tissue, you can do them with rice paper. The one thing I probably avoid is I don't use craft card or heavier paper stock, because, as I think I mentioned before, I don't really want the stuff to get too bulky. There's a little bit there where it's not cut evenly, but I'm going to be adding washi to this anyway. Right, what's this? Right, that's a document. I've got a feeling that came from, I want to say this was part of a kit from Rachel Bella Crafts. I don't mind taking part of it and adding it in here. Let's put that across there. So, I am probably positive most of you already do these, if you're not an absolute beginner, because it's sort of a tried and tested way of using up scraps, as I said. And it also, I try to do these so that they're sort of nondescript, if that's the word I'm looking for, in that they can be turned into anything. I mean, I tend to go with things like, I try to stay within the colour theme. I mean, that orange bit in there was just me throwing something in there, but I try not to make them too specific. Like, that's not going to go in there. I don't like that bit. Right, this could go in. Right, that can be cut there. That doesn't look straight. It wasn't straight, but it's straight now. So this is also something you can do, and I think I've mentioned this before, is you can do this onto 12 by 12 cardstock that you don't like. You know that whenever you buy one of those 12 by 12 pads, there's usually at least one or two papers in there that you go, not sure what I'm going to do with that. This is a perfect opportunity to use those up. Is that lined up? I'm trying to see this through an iPad, because I do all my filming on an iPad. Purely because I've always filmed on my iPad. I don't know why I've always used an iPad, but I have. That goes across there eventually, maybe. Right, so I need to deal with that one before I forget that I'm going to deal with it. Actually, I might be able to put a postage stamp or something up there. Okay, there's part of it digital. And there's part of it digital. And that's part of it digital. Right, let's pull in some of these, because I think I'd like to use that. Right, so if I chop the edge, I misjudged it. I was trying to aim to get it to finish about there. I think one more little slice. Right, this piece can go on. So yes, it's hard to believe that and the dreaded Christmas thing is going to happen very shortly, isn't it? It's like, I mean, I don't know about the country you're in, or even if you celebrate Christmas. I mean, I must be open-minded about that. But we are in the throes of everything is Christmas. I'm not against Christmas, but it does drive me slightly mad that Christmas appears so early in the year. I mean, my local grocery store has had Christmas products in since the beginning of September. And I'm like, are you for real? In fact, they may have had some in earlier than that, to be honest with you. And I'm not against Christmas. It's just that, could we at least get to fall before we do Christmas? So I think that will fit nicely across there. Right, so there is one problem with starting at the outside and work your way in. You'll end up with little bits that take a little bit of geographic jiggery pokery. So I think we're going to, that would fit across there. I'll be quite happy. So that should fit in there. I'm cutting everything just slightly small today. I don't know what's wrong with me. Where's that pencil of mine gone? I'm just going to put a tiny little dot on here because I want to make sure that I know where to cut. Yes, that'll fit nicely in there. Again, I've got a little tiny slither there with where I've missed the end. I have that habit. I always think I've left enough space before I cut. And then I cut it and then I have left too much. And then it needs a little bit more taken off. And at that point, guess what? I then take too much off because I've overestimated it. And I can be a little bit lazy in that I don't always want to grab for a pencil and measure stuff. But that's just me. Oh, where's my thingy? So we're getting there. We're absolutely getting there. And I've just got to the end of a glue stick. So brand new glue stick. Get that one started. So, right. So I haven't got much more to do. I don't think I want any more of that in there. This doesn't appeal to me. I was going to add this, wasn't I? Let's see, can I get it to go across there? Now, some people are probably going to say, oh, you should have sped the video up. I really do not like speeding videos up. Just so you know, it's not something you'll get very often in one of my videos. I have done it once or twice. I'm not going to deny that, but it's not a favorite practice of mine, I must admit. I struggle with that. I don't know why. I think it's probably because it doesn't have music on it. Yeah, I don't like using music in my videos, and that is purely because yes, you can use copyright-free music, but I've watched some people's videos, and what they tend to do is they tend to put the same piece of music on a loop, and it just drives me insane because you're listening to the same piece of music over and over and over again. And I'm like, there's a point at which I'm like, okay, I'm done. I can't listen to this anymore. I'm done. Right. I did pull out book page, but I think there's quite a bit of text on here. And I did pull out this, which I do quite like. Again, I think I bought this in my local stationery store as, you know, when you buy single sheets of things, I think that's what this was. I don't really worry about going back through and rubbing out any pencil marks I put on, purely because by the time I finished, there could be washi over the top, there could be a butterfly, there may be anything over the top. I don't really need to cover it up because it'll naturally get covered up anyway. All right, so 2 more pieces to go. I wonder whether that fits in there. Can I live with that being there? It's on the other side of this bit. not loving that bit. Right, I think what I'm going to do is, I know I've got a patch there and a patch there. And I'm thinking, do I want to put a strip of music across there, which would be in keeping? Well, that doesn't look like the straightest thing I've ever cut in my life. Where's my little scissors go? There comes a point at where it's just too small for my guillotine. I think I want to try and cut that edge just a little straighter. Wish me luck, guys. I'm going in. I can live with that. Okay. And the piece at the top could just be anything, really. Could be a postage stamp. Anything could go in there. So I'm sure I can find something almost immediately to fit that slot. Right. So this is when I tend to get a little bit indecisive, when it comes down to the very last pieces of things. Actually, I cut a strip of that. A little bit more off there. So yes, life is just life here at the moment. Busy trying to get the end of the year stuff sorted out. Trying to get ahead with videos and stuff. Work on the website is ongoing because I've got to launch the blog. Well, I'm hoping to launch it on the 1st of November. I'm a bit dubious about that actually happening because I'm a little bit behind, as I always am. And now that I've got to decorate a wedding cake in the middle of it, that's added another layer of stress to it all. Right, all of the scraps are on there, so that's good, my basics. So let me put these by. So the next step for me is I pull in some washi, and I've got these bits of washi that I think these colours would work on here. Not that it has to be the colours that match. I'm wondering why I put that up there, but you know, it could add an interesting something somewhere. So I'm just going to put some washi on here. Just literally, this is on a piece of string because I've run out of space in my normal storage system, which is those washi rings that you've probably seen in one of my studio tours. And you know, it is what it is. Right, now I like the ends of my washi to be straight, so I'm just going to snip that one off. I'm going to snip that one off. I may trim it further when I've actually glued it to the page. I'm also going to put glue stick on it because I don't know anyone else, but I never trust washi to stay stuck. Put a little bit on the end there. Right, I just want this one to come down here. I don't know why, but this piece here just looks like it needs a something. So again, for me, I find it more aesthetically pleasing to work in verticals and horizontals. I just tend to stick to that. I also, if I'm putting one piece of washi on, I will put 3 of the same style. Now, that's absolutely just me being me, because to be honest with you, once this is cut off, I have no idea where the pieces are going to be. I have no idea where in the finished ephemera they're going to end up. They may not even arrive in the same journals. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not hugely worried about there being 3s. It's just, for me, I see things better when I see it in 3s. And I think you'll find a lot of creative people who do this sort of work will also want to work in 3s. I think artistically 3 is more pleasing to the eye anyway, or at least I should say odd numbers. So let's just take this piece across here. Bit of blank space up there that I didn't like. So that's added a little, that's another layer. I'd like to add another one. It looks really busy to me, and I'm thinking this one sort of goes with this, and it's narrower. I can never find the end of washi tape. Anyone else have that problem? Come on, you've got to have an end. Where are you? There you are. So I think I've already used this one once in the past, so it can't be that bad. So again, I chop the top and bottom just so I know it's straight to start with. And all I'm doing is I'm just laying this on my book page, running my glue stick along it. Some people will put their finger over the top of the glue stick and do it that way. I find I get really messy if I do that, so I tend not to. I'm going to come in here because I had that little bit of white showing there, and that's just, I like that colour actually. That's a good one. So another piece. I think once we've done the last two pieces of this, then I think you'll find that we're going to move on to something to pretty the pages up even further. Across there might be nice. Now, is there anywhere that's got a little slither of something looking like there's a bit of white in there? Let's get rid of that. So not one of my exciting, fast-paced sort of videos, but I hope you're okay with it. As I said, I wanted, or I didn't want that close to that. Never mind, it's down, it's staying. Who knows, the blade could cut somewhere in the middle of that. Right, so away with the washi, and let's bring in some other things to put on the page. Other stuff. So let's go box by box and see what's in here and see if there's anything I want to layer up on here. Right, these were bits that were left over from a project I did for Rachel Bella Craft. I quite like that one. I don't want things that are too big, because obviously I don't know where on the page they're going to end up, which I think I just want this one. No, not that one. Right, so I'm just going to glue this up and have a look and see where I want to put it. Now, this is the point at which I can play around and just change the feel of the whole page. It's also the point at which I sometimes don't know when to stop. And by that I mean I will keep building and building and building and then forget that eventually these are going to be cut. And then eventually they're going to have decoration put on them. So I have to be a little bit aware that I don't get too laden with decoration at this point. But that definitely needs something up there. I can tell you before I start. Right, this one. Right, these are some labels I actually cut out of washi, out of rice paper. Oh, I wouldn't mind putting him on there. He looks there, right? That's it's Stamperia rice paper, and it's a mixture of several different kits. What I tend to do is I will use up scraps of rice paper and cut them into labels, which I then use to decorate, obviously. It's a great way to use up scraps of rice paper. Is there another one in here I would have used? Actually, I quite like that one. Let's put that. Oh, it's a bit samey, isn't it? Actually, that might be nice. Right, I'm not going to touch those because they're stickers, and my fingers are already sticky, and I will never get the backs off them unless I actually wash my hands. And I've been wiping my hands in my little sponge, but on my fingertips at least. But I don't think I want to stop the video and go and wash my hands. Right. I think I want to pop that over there. No, I don't. Let's pop you by there. Oh, we've got a rogue label. I do like doing this process because then when I cut them up, I have no idea what's on the other side. Right, I've got flowers here, and I prefer to use like the washy flowers than the clear flowers for this process because the clear ones are obviously shiny. There's enough flowers on there. I do not need flowers. I've got a couple of these. Now what these are is basically I take napkins and I actually just glue it to old book page, and I quite like these. So I think we can put 3 of those on there somewhere. I think that'll work. As I said, don't know where they're going to end up when the things are cut, so it's quite nice just to build. Now you could obviously go with a theme. You could do all one colour family. You could go, I've gone butterflies. You could go fish. You could go, I mean, basically it's whatever you want it to be. I mean, I'm just doing what I feel I want at this moment in time. And we're not a million miles off finishing. You could also come in and stamp. That's another thing. You could stamp text onto here. I mean, those script stamps are really handy for this sort of stuff. I'm not going to here because I don't feel I want it. But again, that's an artistic decision. Right, I want to make sure that this goes somewhere. Now, I know that these two are very unlikely going to be in the same piece. Because I'm not going to use a 12 by 12, I'm going to cut it up, but that looks like quite a busy junction there. But if I add something else, it's going to get even busier. I think I'm going to put it there. I don't know why this area just bothers me. Right, so that's that done. Now I do have some postage stamps, but I'm not going to put postage stamps on. And I've got little things here that I've basically taken washi and I've stuck it to book page and coffee dyed paper. But I think those are a bit heavy for what we're doing here. I have been known to use postage stamps on these, and they work really well, especially if you're trying to cover up small areas. And then I've got some stamped numbers. Now I do quite like the stamped numbers. So I think I'm going to put some stamp numbers in here just to fill in any bits that I just think need to be made a little less complex, should we say. Like this would have been the perfect piece to put over there. Actually, let's put that over there. Only because I know that that label is perfectly straight and everything else that I've done maybe is not. Do not know where these came from. These just, I have no idea. I've got all my ephemera. Basically, I categorize anything that I'm using to work on stuff, and I just put it all in relevant boxes for itself. I don't necessarily split it up as in designer, because that doesn't work for me. I struggle to try and remember designers, so I tend to not try in the first place. Now, can you turn something into a digital from a masterboard? Only, and I say only, if you have the copyright to everything that you've used on that masterboard. That is my belief anyway. I do not think you can just come in and go, right, I've made a masterboard, I'm going to scan it or photograph it and put it on the internet and sell it. I really don't think you're allowed to do that. So just be aware, there are rules out there to protect artists, of which I'm one, may I add. I have digital products of my own, but everything that I've got as a digital product is there because I've created it in the first place. It's my artwork, or I have permission to do it. Like there are certain companies I work with and they've gone, yes, Ceri, of course you can use it for that, which is ever so generous of them. Right. So something by there, and I think I'm going to call this page done. So how long has this taken us? So it's taken about 40 minutes to do this. Now, you must remember that 40 minutes is me actually talking as well as nipping around, cutting stuff, finding other stuff. Yeah, I don't like that there at all. get that off there as soon as I can. I want something that's a bit more definite in there. I'll be happier with that one, I think, if I put that. Yeah, it was just, I don't know, the moment I put it down, I knew it wasn't right. So if you work quick enough with a glue stick, you can pick up something without damaging anything or tearing anything. So, right. So there you go. So that's how I create one of my masterboards. Now you could continue on, as I said, you could stamp, you could stick other things, like here is slightly bothering me now I'm looking at it. I'm wondering whether I just want a number in there. Which I quite like that because it's got green on it. Let's just stick this one down. So there you go, guys. That's this one done. Hopefully, if you're a newbie, that was helpful to you. If you're someone who's got me on in the background, hope you did a good project. For me, this is how I'm going to use this scrapbook, because I've never scrapbooked, so it doesn't hold anything for me, the whole practice of scrapbooking. But I do use these a lot, so this will be in my second masterboard within this book. So I think I am done. So I'm Ceri the Crafter, that's Ceri the Crafter. Until next time, goodbye now.